Sega.
Hi, I'm Jeff Beckham, Associate Brand Manager at Sega, and I'd like to welcome you back to Part 10 of our training series for Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. In this video, we will cover L Blaze and Eileen. High-flying and extremely nimble, L Blaze brings Lucha Libre-style wrestling to the world of Virtua Fighter. He has a large amount of close-range strings that can lead to combos, as well as a few deceptively long-range attacks that can make even the strongest adversaries fearful. Let's start by taking a look at a few useful strings. Back forward punch is one of L Blaze's most useful new string starters in Final Showdown. Although it doesn't look too menacing or have much range, it has the special ability to beat high attacks from a medium disadvantage. One string option after back forward punch is punch, then down and kick, in which the third hit will knock down a standing opponent. If the opponent guards or gets hit by the first hit of this string, they will not be able to low punch in time to beat the third attack. For opponents that don't use quick recovery after getting knocked down by the third hit, L Blaze can use the opportunity to perform a ground throw by pressing either down punch plus guard or down towards punch plus guard. The other string variation from back forward punch is kick kick. The second hit is a mid attack that can also be used to keep opponents from low punching, and the third part of this string will stagger opponents if they try to attack. L Blaze can also perform his rocket discharge by pressing forward if the third hit connects. We will discuss the rocket discharge in depth later in this session. It's important to note that L Blaze will be at a medium disadvantage if the opponent guards the third attack, so you will need to keep them guessing. L Blaze has two other strings which are very important to his close-range mix-up games. The first is down towards punch punch kick. This string starts and ends with a mid-attack, so it will hit your opponent if they try to crouch during those parts of the string. The third hit will also stagger your opponent if they are either crouching or attempt to attack. The opponent must react quickly to recover from this stagger, so versus players with little experience against L Blaze, you might want to follow up with this small combo more often than a throw. Opponents in fear of being staggered by the third hit of this string might tend to wait and guard, hoping to score guaranteed damage afterward. Against them, make sure to vary the cadence of your string and lean towards either throwing or starting another string after the second hit is guarded. Back kick, punch punch can also be used in a similar fashion, as the third hit will launch the opponent for a small combo. Again, be sure to use the last hit sparingly and either throw or start a new string after the second hit if you think your opponent is waiting. Another option to finish this string is with kick instead of punch for the third hit. If the opponent either guards or gets hit by the third attack, L Blaze can press forward to transition into rocket discharge for even more of a mix-up game. Briefly mentioned earlier, the rocket discharge can be performed by tapping forward after certain strings. It can also be done by pressing either back or forward punch plus kick plus guard. His screw leg lariat can be done by pressing kick after the cartwheel kick. This attack hits high and will stagger opponents that try to guard it. New to Final Showdown, L Blaze has the ability to perform a cartwheel kick from the rocket discharge by pressing up towards kick plus guard. This option is very strong since it hits with two quick mid attacks and starts off a string. Since L Blaze has fairly short range with his strings, it is important to make use of a few moves when you are fighting at a distance. First is L Blaze's Shadow Spear, which is done by hitting forward and kick. The most important aspect of this attack is it pushes the opponent very far back even if it is guarded, so it's great for keeping L Blaze out of immediate danger. It is also good for getting a wall stagger on your opponent. From a slightly greater distance, L Blaze can use a similar move called the Shadow Lance by tapping forward kick. Like the Shadow Spear, Blaze can activate his rocket discharge by tapping forward, but this move will also stagger on normal or counter hit. Try to use this move sparingly as it will put Blaze into a medium disadvantage of guarding. Since Blaze has many strings with high attacks, you might come across opponents who try to stop your momentum with low punch. For these situations, use up kick plus guard to beat the low punch when you think it's coming. Here are a few combos to get you started. And now on to Eileen. Eileen is a short-range scrappy fighter who practices monkey kung fu style and is most effective when up close and personal. She has a large variety of strings and cancels that can be used to put the opponent into situations that are difficult to guard. One of her critical moves to start pressure is a punch-punch move that cannot be interrupted or evaded by the opponent once they block or are hit by the first punch. Most of the time you will want to cancel after the second punch rather than the third punch, as it will give less time for your opponent to potentially interrupt your string. This is a strong starting move because you can use Eileen's cancel moves or her other actions after the second and third punch. You can also press forward and punch after the punch-punch string for a fast mid-attack. This can be useful to keep your opponents from trying to duck or low punch after the second hit of the string. Once you've landed your basic punch-punch string, your opponent feels like they should evade your third attack or stand in guard. This is a good opportunity to use Eileen's cancellation front aerial Zenku into her catch throw. Even though the opponent might win this exchange from time to time, it's a good idea to keep this technique in your arsenal, as it can be useful to set them up for Eileen's spinning punch cancels. Versus opponents looking to capitalize on the front aerial Zenku with a standing high punch, use Eileen's spin punch follow-up by performing a quarter circle back and punch or punch-punch. The first hit is a high attack that cannot be evaded, and if the first hit connects, the second is guaranteed. After the follow-up to the spin punch, Eileen can either press punch again for a quick and relatively safe mid-attack, or can once again cancel into her many options. Eileen has another option against opponents attempting to crouch under her punch-punch strings. Instead of pressing punch again after the first hit, press down forward punch, and she will perform a fast mid-attack. By pressing kick after the second hit, Eileen can also finish the string off with a mid-kick, which will stagger a still crouched opponent. Be cautious not to overuse the third hit of this string, as the opponent will be able to punish you if they catch you doing it. Like the previous examples, Eileen also has the ability to transition into all her cancel moves after the second hit, so be sure to mix it up and be creative. Many times, the fear of the knockdown itself is good enough to get your opponent standing and guarding, at which time you can flow into front aerial Zenku or Eileen's spin punch mix-ups. In Final Showdown, Eileen has some new options from her Goku stance, one of which is a full circular sweep and follow-up, which is useful against evades or those defending with a standing guard. Tap forward and punch plus kick plus guard to enter Goku stance, and then immediately press kick plus guard, then kick, kick. The timing on the last kick input can be tricky, but try to wait until Eileen's leg is fully extended for the final button press. The Goku stance can be transitioned into just like all other cancel moves, so be sure to watch your opponent and pick the best time to use it. A good mid-range poke is Eileen's elbow, which can be done by pressing forward and punch. Not only does it have good range, it can also be continued as a string with either punch then kick, punch then down kick, or any of Eileen's cancel moves. Since both high and low kick options can be avoided by ducking, it's a good idea to cancel into her lunge punch, which can be performed with a quarter circle forward and punch. This will leave you at a slight advantage even if you guess wrong and the opponent ends up guarding. Some opponents with quick reactions might try to stop this string with a low punch after guarding the second hit. To stop them from doing this, you can use up towards and punch. Eileen is most comfortable when she is within elbow striking range, but she has plenty of options from a distance too. When you're at about mid-distance away from your opponent, a strong mix-up is to use up towards, punch plus kick plus guard, punch punch, and up towards, punch plus kick plus guard, punch kick. The punch version leads to a 2-hit mid-punch which covers a great deal of ground. This move is also strong because near the wall you will get a wall hit, which leads to even more damage. The second version, on the other hand, goes into a low sweep. Both of these hits will knock your opponent down and will allow you to start pressuring them all over again up close. Here are some Eileen combos to get you started. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Beckham from Sega, and I'll see you at the next session.
Knockout!